into positions of hopelessness and helplessness. The government gives them the drugs, builds bigger prisons, passes a 3-strike law, and then wants us to sing God Bless America. No, no, no. Not God Bless America. God damn America. That's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating us citizens as less than human. God damn America as long as she tries to act like she is God and she is
all right, here we go.
And that is what that would sound like, though.
It's like RoboCop.
You can't really hear any of what's happening, but
Well, let me read the text here for anyone listening. What you're hearing is someone took a video of a helicopter flying over a swimming pool in Baltimore, and it's saying, "This is the Baltimore City Police Department helicopter unit. Please exit the swimming pool. There is no lifeguard on duty. For your safety, exit the swimming pool." And I think what's funny about this is the over-bloated police budget and the fact that I think lifeguards in public swimming pools would be technically paid by the same money that is going to cops.
It's a public pool, yeah.
Okay, well, not if you want really good ones, but here's the first thing I'll say, which is there's the obvious discussion about policy here, but it overshadows the more practical discussion. Giving an announcement on a helicopter makes no sense. Helicopters are the loudest goddamn machine people have ever created in the world. You cannot hear what somebody next to you is saying. Nonetheless, what like a man with a gun 1,000 feet over your head is shouting at you while you're in the slide section of the public pool.
Civilian, put down the floaty. You will be apprehended if you do not get out before Adult Swim. It's like
that is a contraband chipwich.
Well,
your chipwich is now property of Baltimore State Police.
Think about it this way. If you're drowning in a public pool because you don't know how to swim and you're like flailing and you're like, oh, I'm at the bottom of the public pool. How will I get to the top? Do you want some teenager with a red lifesaver thing, or do you want maybe like an attack helicopter to unfurl one of those long ladders,
the ropes
things that we see in movies and I'm not sure has ever happened in real life? Kind of thing seems extremely dangerous. Maybe it lowers down, it blows all of the it's probably blowing the water out of the pool while it's doing it, and then you know how to use one of these ladders, obviously, because you've seen many movies.
Well, the thing is, with the budget available, we put a weight on the bottom of the ladder. Now it's penetrating, piercing the surface of the pool. Oh, no, I can't swim. How am I supposed to swim out? Is somebody going to swim me out? Oh, no, a ladder is here at the bottom of the pool, and I can grab it and climb my way out as God intended.
And you get to ride away like Rambo, like hanging off the bottom of a helicopter, and there's a cop who we know are notoriously smart and good at their jobs, manning the helicopter that then takes you, I guess, home. Like you don't even
an
have
easy to pilot vehicle.
Helicopter. Forget the ladder. That's non-defensive spending. That's pork barrel spending for public money to go to a ladder. A missile could be shot into the pool, exploding and pushing you out of it, and it would make it even more like a water ride. So it's like instead of a public pool, it's like you're at an actual water park with explosives.
One Hellfire missile would quickly solve the issue of the pool.
Yeah, you ride the wave home like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. That's really cool.
Did you have fun, son? Did the police help you at the bottom of the pool? Did they give you a wild ride on the way home?
Yeah, libs.
Okay, so there's this one video that goes around and we all laugh at it. But it is something that you may need to address the reality that it may happen to you in your life where somebody is being airlifted out of a canyon or forest or something. They get lost or they break their leg hiking. and they're on a stretcher carried out by a helicopter, but they just start spinning.
Yeah.
And once you're spinning in like 100 feet in the air, there's nothing to stop you from spinning more. So it just goes faster and faster until like it has parentheses. It's like the passenger has passed out at this juncture. And then it just keeps going for like another 5 minutes.
It looks so fun though. Like I'm sure that person is just irreversibly damaged from it or whatever to give him like a seizure or something. But
they probably no longer remember the 3rd grade at all, but it would be worth it.
That looks like something. If there's a Six Flags thing where they let you do that like on purpose, I'm in. It looks so good. You just get mummified and then just you can't see anything, I'm sure, and you're just like rotating 1,000 feet in the air. What could be more exhilarating?
Well, you're still riding the Hulk. I'm in line for Drunk Nick Fury. Drunk Nick Fury's helicopter bonanza.
Yeah.
You know that
passes, but it's.
I mean, we always talk about how police are being dispatched to do more and more things from what they were originally, tasked with. Lifeguard is going to be a new one. Like that's going to be one at this point. Like the cities don't have enough money to pay lifeguards. It's not just Baltimore, or they don't want to pay them.
I'm really laughing at the idea of you're drowning and someone shows up underwater to just shoot you with a harpoon.
That's going to be what happens. Because they don't actually know how to deal with people drowning. What they do know how to deal with is something I always used to think of in my community pool growing up, which is what if a shark landed in the water? What if there is a shark company that is flying product, living sharks, overhead, and there's like some issue and one of the shark falls out and lands directly in the pool? That's something you need police officers on duty for.
Oh, great. I thought you were saying we deploy sharks to be police force underwater, back the blue street sharks.
Ooh.
Like when they make a dog a cop. Yeah,
like when they make a dog, like this is a shark is a sea dog is what you're saying.
That would actually, I could definitely see like that happening. They deputize a shark and it bites a child and the entire police department like wastes all its money. Can't waste all its money, but it spends $1 billion in court defending the shark, which has been deputized.
Right. And the thing is, the fucked up thing is the shark has like a house in the suburbs and a pension. You're like, what do I got to do to get the respect this shark gets in this
but he's got
town?
a cute little uniform on and a little cop hat. And come on.
But this is very relevant to July because it's going to be Shark Week soon. Sharks do not do shit like except for 2 days out of the month. They just kind of float around with their eyes open and then they're hungry and eat once. And they're like pretty much, they're like barely alive.
Plus
they're just going to be texting the whole time.
Sounds about great white. Man.
This is a good podcast.
I've heard they don't even like people that much. Like half the time they eat us, it's on accident, right? Like years ago, there's a woman, very sad story, woman in Maine who was wearing a black bathing suit. She looked like, I don't know, an otter.
Well, they think we're seals when they eat.
Right. And she was killed. That's very sad. But they don't think we're people. So I guess you have to wear the most ridiculous like neweon colors if you don't want to get bit.
No, that's not true. They are attracted to bright colors. Don't wear bright colors.
Okay, shit.
Don't listen to this podcast for shark safety tips. We're just
Anders knows nothing about sharks. I've been saying this for years.
Do not bleed. Right, that's the key thing: is make sure you're not bleeding underwater.
No bleeding, no jewelry. If you're really worried about it, don't wear like yellow. I'm wearing a yellow bathing suit this summer, and that's hubris. And I'm like in the north, and I'm not that worried about it. But if you're like in Central America or something, you know the rules.
Don't wear the Borat Speedo thing.
Don't swim at dusk. Don't bring a hamburger in the water. You know what it is. It's Shark Town, baby.
It's Shark Town.
You know, that was actually a major issue in the 1916 presidential election. There was a series of shark attacks off the coast of New Jersey.
Is pro-shark.
Right. That was it, basically. Wilson and whoever it was.
Wilson and it's kind of a sad story actually. Is he was running for president, but he was killed and eaten by a shark in around October, so there was no contest in November. He was just a big seal-like man. They called him the Big Seal of the transatlantic.
Tact.
I was kind of thinking
Only
about this
hard
cop question earlier today because it was in Manhattan, and like, there's like, what's interesting in Manhattan is that there are what once were public restrooms, like public restrooms, like just built by tax dollars and shit, and they're all shut down. So everyone in Manhattan has to shit their pants like all the time, and they're all constantly just running into various businesses and going, "Is it okay if I shit in here?" And that's just greatest city in the world, the paragon of we're the freest country in the world. No one can shit anywhere or whatever.
There's 8 million stories out here, and they're naked.
Yeah, but like, there's two ways to kind of think about cops. The thing we're describing, which is they're so overbloated and they're this monstrous, unreformable thing. So a cop is going to get assigned to do shit that a cop shouldn't do. But also, like, if they never became this monstrous, stupid thing that is unreformable, they would just potentially be city workers. So, like, I was thinking about the cops in the neighborhood I was in downtown Brooklyn, and like, in a better world, they'd be men's room attendants. Like, they'd be like cleaning these bathrooms.
I thought you were going to say like
They'd
the
hold the
men's
towel.
room themselves, like we would piss and shit on them.
We should. That's also something that should be happening. Is they should all be piss pigs, and you should be allowed to piss in their mouths and stuff because they're being paid by the city, and shit on them, I suppose, as well, because you have to take a dump and you're in Manhattan.
Those are one of the better shirts you can buy from the NYPD. The ones that just, they're like a blue shirt and it says, "I'd rather be in the men's room," New York Police Department.
I have one. It says, "I'd rather be drinking piss." That's a police shirt. I bought it from the NYPD at the police.
Cost $800.
Yeah, I know, but I like to back the yellow.
My friend growing up was from Russia, and he said that when he lived in Russia, the Russian version of me, like in his friend group, was the kid everybody peed on. He was like their
It's good to hear you have such good friends, Anders. It's not just me.
It's straight up just peed on somebody.
Yeah, they just chose the kid to be like the designated walking laboratory.
That kid, his name is
Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, or Trump. That's, man, Russians just take it so much, like they take it like one step farther than.
How do you respond to information like that?
There's no way that guy's normal.
In my country, I would pee on you. Do you like Diddy Kong Racing?
We would play. That's crazy that you bring that game up. Anyway,
but like, what if we bring what if somehow a radical, government is elected and we reopen these public restrooms, and then, we reopen the public restrooms, and then we, like, current cops have to clean them and be men's room attendants. You go into the bathroom, you get drugs planted on you, you get shot while you're taking a dump and stuff. It doesn't work.
Now, this is important city policy because I think, like, and I don't have any like evidence of this. I'm still young enough where it like hasn't really come up, but I worry like I've fucked up my dick by holding in my pee too long on the subway. Because like I did a few open mics in my 20s where they like make you drink some big beers and then take a 90-minute train home and like really hurt myself. Other people, like smart people, just like let it go on the platform somewhere or like hide in a corner and piss.
I'm smart.
I've done
Yeah,
that.
I mean, that's what you should do instead of like causing organ damage that you'll live with for the rest of your life.
Well, that's supposed to be good for your like your sphincters. It's supposed to make you better at holding
your pelvic floor. Yeah.
But probably bad for your kidneys. I've always thought about peeing in between the two trains. I'm just I might be still wrong about this, but I just heard about the third rail when I first moved to New York.
No, don't do it onto the track.
Well, if you're peeing out of the train, like that's gonna land there, right? And like I guess that what would happen is you would get electrocuted through the stream coming out of your dick up through your dick,
right,
and then mortally like destroy, like
into your
heart,
give
and
you
die.
Superpowers.
Which actually, now that I'm thinking about it,
that's what the Calvin sticker is meant to warn you to prevent.
Well, people always throw themselves in front of the train when they want to commit suicide. They're like, why not do it like that? That sounds cooler.
It sounds like you would die instantly. through
This is
your
also
dick.
going to be what happens once cops become lifeguards, and to discipline children, they'll tase them and then just, naturally shock the rest of the pool.
Yeah, like when you throw a grenade in a lake and all the fish die.
Right.
That's a really good point. There is that sign in open work sites where you're around a third rail or high voltage machinery that says, and like this is on the sign, it says, not only will you die, it will hurt the whole time, which is like to stop you from touching electrical stuff.
It's probably fake.
But if it goes through your dick, and that seems like a straight line to your heart to me.
It's the main vein, is what they call it in bars,
Because it's up through the main vein.
Think about this.
That seems like it would go through all of your organs first.
Yeah, right. Like literally your whole body would feel like it was on fire, I guess, for a minute. And then it may literally be on fire. But
God, that sounds so cool.
Wait, I just have to say this because I have a public platform and it's irresponsible to do, but it's Saturday night. I have a friend who grew up and would always make like a game out of holding his pee. And it is a real thing that if you do that for long enough, he like pees himself all the time as an adult.
Oh God.
He broke it.
I guess there's no way to fix that, really.
There's no way to fix it. He broke
There's a famous astronomer who died from that. Tycho Brahe. He was at a dinner in like the 1500s or something, and he like really had to go to the bathroom. Was like, no, I'm going to vape, and then it just like.
Did he die? That's how Tycho Brahe died.
What popping noise are you describing? What pop?
What do you? How graphic do you want me to be?
Piss
his
just
bladder.
came out of his eyelids. It just filled up. He starts crying piss. He's like, I die now.
Now I'm gonna be real because I already go to the bathroom a lot. I think about having to go to the bathroom a lot, and this is just gonna really make that worse.
Just to get in the habit of doing it. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's another week. Pod Damn America with your friends.
I think we went 15 minutes before we got to introing the show today, but that is, I think, fitting because, you know what? I was thinking about this. This has happened a few times in the history of our show where we've just been like, look, like we were all scrambling, texting each other like, should we get this guest? Oh, no, they can't do it this week or whatever. We try to put out smart stuff interspersed with dumb stuff. It's kind of, I think, the model here. If you haven't picked up on
sandwich,
that yet, dear listener, but it's too fucking hot out this weekend, and we're busy and didn't really come together. So you're getting a dumb episode. This is, a fun
Anders
one.
has COVID.
Anders has COVID. We can't be working him too hard. Die of COVID.
I have to
pee. He also has to pee. And you heard what could happen there.
I've been watching this Spanish soap opera where they always play the title sequence around 15 minutes in, and I like it better.
This is kind of cool. It's like one of those movies where like a Tarantino thing where like there was an entire almost act, and then some cool Western music is playing, and it's like with Jake and Anders and Alex.
David Spector as the cop shark.
And introducing. I don't know who the fuck another
the
lovely.
AP Andy.
Yeah. AM Gitlet. Yeah, no, man. Let's but we don't worry. You're still gonna get hard hitting takes on the various goings on in the world today. You can repeat hot opinions that we have tomorrow at the water cooler at work.
Absolutely, you should. It might be a few days until you get to go to the water cooler because it is a federal holiday weekend.
It's true.
And as communists, we're against it. We think you should be at work right now. I don't care what day it is. It's time to punch the clock, you dumb fuck.
You should only work on this holiday and then the rest of the time be off, maybe?
Yes.
Sure.
I don't know. How do you feel about Independence Day? It's always like, well, I don't like it in theory, but I do like hot dogs. That's kind of where I stand,
Well,
Yeah, fireworks are
do
cool.
we celebrate any holiday for what the holiday is actually supposed to be? Or is it just like, I get to be drunk on Tuesday? Hooray!
I can't think of a single one.
There's no one where
Valentine's
you
Day?
actually care about what it is. Just shut up and eat your hamburger.
I wonder what the actual origin of Valentine's Day. Like, I'm sure we could find out. Like, Saint Valentine actually didn't have anything to do with like love or whatever. It's just like dissecting worms and doing weird ritual sacrifices.
He opened the first investment bank.
It's something really racist. He he colonized Uganda or something.
Yeah.
Well, people always say that one's like invented by the Hallmark Corporation, right? But I guess they drew it from some existing thing. Just how a lot of holidays.
Right. That's like we discussed. Santa is like Eastern European.
And Cinco de
Central
Mayo is
Asian.
an obscure battle that doesn't really have anything to do with Mexican.
Cinco de Mayo is a fantastic holiday.
Why do you say that, Alex?
It's margarita themed.
Every time I've ever seen you celebrating a thing, you are holding a novelty oversized cocktail that is meant for 3 people and then like have drunkenly slipped into a character of like a different character.
Well, that's true. Well, but there's one day where I don't slip into any character, and that's Cinco de Mayo, where I quietly enjoy my large novelty beverage in silence in honor of the great general whose name is evading me now, but only because I'm celebrating a different federal holiday.
You don't.
Wait, is that Santa Ana?
Pancho Villa?
No, it's not.
No.
It's not
okay.
near them.
Shit!
Right.
Fuck! Shit!
Only Mexican
Fuck.
general, I know, sorry. Sue me.
Fucking sue me. But you know why there's no... You know who could install these public bathrooms in the great city of New York, the Big Apple, or La Gran Manzana, is Mayor Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City.
Yeah. Who? Speaking of pool cops, like... Yeah, this was the segue I had planned.
Why did you second segue?
This could have been the first segue. I don't know why. Whatever.
Cut that other one out. Hold on. What are we doing?
Wait, what did you say again? Speaking of,
I said he
who
could
can
install the public
bathrooms?
bathrooms.
I don't know if he could at this point. Frankly, I think he could maybe designate a spot for a bathroom to be installed 20 years from now, and then maybe it gets done, because this guy is all over the place. Doesn't look like he knows how to do anything. He has been trying to respond to the lifeguard crisis, which, as we were saying before, has swept the nation. Not just a problem in Baltimore, but in New York City, they can't get enough lifeguards, and he insists that it's nothing to do with the pay. Right, because lifeguards don't go into it for the money; they go into it for the smell
Love
of sunscreen.
the game.
Yeah,
The smell of the chlorine.
right.
Well, they do it for babes a lot of the time. And one of the big problems of New York is there's no babes. And so
Really?
it's a real critical juncture for us as a public municipality.
Yeah, well, we need to
babes.
fund them. Famously babeless city, New York City.
There's no babes here.
I don't know. I saw a whole movie about one that came here. This city.
Oh, man.
But
Oh, Lord.
Eric Adams is always hunting for babes. So I mean, I would see him relating to the lifeguards. I maybe that was a genuine statement on his part, because as a young man, he wanted to be a lifeguard to scope out the spot for babes. Seems like something
Okay.
He's still
Really?
like single.
It's not clear. He
How is that not? How do you in the office and that's not clear?
It's
That's
not
so
even clear
will they,
where
won't
he
they?
lives.
yeah, no one knows where he lives or what his marital status is.
You gotta admit he's got sex appeal.
There's
It's
someone is
swagger.
anonymously mayoring the biggest fucking city or the main city.
Long
Yes.
mayor, don't care.
He he did give that speech. I may have said this before, but he gave that speech a few years ago where he was like, as the Brooklyn borough president, I have the opportunity to date some of the most beautiful women in New York City.
Yeah,
I don't want you showing up to dinner with me with a big tattoo on your neck that says "lick me."
You've said that before.
Right after that,
this is coming back to me now.
But right after he said that in the speech, his spokesman to the press was like, he was speaking like facetiously there because he does have a girlfriend right now.
Yeah, like
publicly.
His girlfriend was like, "What the fuck? You can't say that."
That's like you have an aide to cover your speeches to the public and then another one to cover up for your girlfriend.
Right. You have a
Eric is at work right now. He can't talk.
Okay, but he is trying to heat off the lifeguard shortage by spreading awareness about drowning. So he has launched a public awareness campaign about how not to drown. So instead of having a lifeguard, you're going to have a little chart that's probably written by Eric Adams and will confuse and probably do more harm than good. But at least he's doing something. He's always out there. He's always
Most people that drown do so because they are not aware that you are not allowed to breathe underwater. So raising awareness is a worthy cause.
You know, as a young man, I was took a plum to someone telling me I could not breathe underwater. Who are you to tell the swaggiest young man at this pool that he can't breathe underwater?
I don't know how much trouble we're gonna get in for your Eric Adams impression, but it's really good.
He's too good at it. It's like we're in the chat with Eric Adams.
I have
You
COVID.
should play him on SNL. They should hire you.
I mean, it could just be my voice when I have a throat because his voice like does this weird crackly thing where it's like
he's been out
high. It's a high and low pitch at the same time. It makes no sense, but it really, when you do have a throat infection, it's a lot easier to do.
Well, the thing about drowning is when it's actually happening, you expect to see someone thrashing about and splashing, but it actually looks like they don't know what to do. And maybe if they had seen a pamphlet beforehand on how to prevent drowning, they would make more of a fuss about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like awareness is like, it's not the solution, but it is a step forward.
If I had only known, like if I had ever been at a public pool and then picked up a pamphlet and the pamphlet was like, "Do you see someone in trouble? Call a helicopter and wait." Or, as long as it takes a helicopter to show up, then I would never have watched that child die.
We can say whatever we want, but it's cheaper to come up with these than it is to hire lifeguards.
Certainly can't pay a teenager $15 an hour to do that.
No.
Teenagers, one of the hardest to negotiate with work sectors that we have.
Their unions are too strong.
They're one of the only populations you can pay entirely in beer.
I mean, why doesn't he just pay them in Bitcoin? Could easily fix Bitcoin. This. Yeah.
So do they.
They love computers, the internet.
But
2022.
It's funny you mention that because this is from a profile done by David Friedlander in New York Magazine, the magazine of New York.
Number one magazine of the Big Apple.
And we're 6 months in to this mayoralty, just the term, and mayoral term. Mayoralty is a mayoral term. Think about that.
Think about it.
Think about that for once.
There are all these people. Eric Adams refused to be interviewed for it, but all the people around him were like, "Yeah, he has no idea what the fuck he's doing." It's like
that is kind of what happened. My favorite part is there's a part in the article in the middle where they're like, although his staff did reject the claim that Eric Adams has done nothing up until now in his candidacy, here's a full press quote of what they want us to tell you that he's done. And it's like, he's funded the government or whatever.
I guess what's crazy about that to me is he was like Brooklyn borough president. Like, he's not like the outsider candidate. He's like Andrew Yang or something like that.
Right.
Where you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, he's got Trump. Like, why is he in there to begin with? He was kind of running on the I know how to do the job shit. And apparently just a lunatic can just get through all of these jobs and then rise to the fucking highest one in the city.
Right. I mean, regardless of the political spin on being a cop or whatever, like, if you've worked in the public sector for 40 years, I do expect you to like understand the paper pushing parts of this that have to be done. I don't just think you'll be like clubbing with Wyclef 30 days out of the first 90 days you're in office.
Well, it's strange because, not only does he have some of the most experience of anyone to be mayor of New York in government, he also is a hard worker. Like, he's out all the time doing stuff. It's just not anything that is constructive at all.
He's always moving like a shark.
Right. He can't stop and focus and actually like figure out what he's supposed to be doing or like what a smarter strategy would be.
He slept on the floor of like the Brooklyn Borough Hall, like,
the office.
COVID. Yeah. So ostensibly, it's not lack of like drive; it's just direction, I guess.
Yeah.
So much hustle.
But one of his friends is talking about how. So he right after his inauguration, he went on a private jet ride with Brock Pierce. I don't know if you guys remember him. He was
from Mighty Ducks.
From the Mighty Ducks, also a presidential candidate. Arguably ran for office in 2020 to launder money for his crypto business. He is a crypto magnate, and he's the one who convinced Eric Adams to take his first 3 checks in Bitcoin. The market has been halved since that point, and one of Adams' friends says he gets charmed by the worst guy in the industry and looks like a frigging idiot. That wouldn't have happened. That wouldn't have happened to any other mayor. There would have been somebody to say, let me give you some background on cryptocurrency, Mr. Mayor. Which, I guess he has yes men. He has no one there to tell him that this is fucking stupid.
Who is that in the Mighty Ducks?
I think the main kid, isn't it?
Mighty Ducks. He sounds like more like he's in a movie called The Mighty Apes.
Mighty Apes, folks. What are they playing? Banana Ball, folks?
There you
Come
go.
on.
So one of his early promises was to seriously consider or even pursue. He actually agreed with a journalist who said, maybe Subway should have metal detectors. Before you go into the Subway, should be a beep beep. You put all you take your keys, your phone, your wallet out every fucking time you use the Subway,
I was very worried that was going to happen.
That would have wrecked the entire system. There's so many people that.
Yeah.
It's just that like everything seems to be malfunctioning on such a level that I could see them being installed and there being 1 week where we all have to try to make it work and then the city descending into chaos. And I'm glad it hasn't, but my faith is so low.
Right. Everyone would start riding bikes all of a sudden.
I know we would beat the shit out of those metal detectors. At least it's service cops. I mean, maybe in like Manhattan they would enforce them, but
the cops just wouldn't enforce it. That's what happens sometimes. They're just like, whatever. I don't fucking care. Just don't be black.
Okay, and this is a tangent, but this is the new discovery on social media this week is that cops will dress up as like Grubhub guys, like undercover and sit behind the turnstiles to catch people going through the doors. And I've been caught that way, and it is very tenuously legal.
Yeah, I've been caught that way, and like I think I went to jail one time because I had like a warrant out. They caught me doing that, and then like ran
podcast enemy Jake Flores has jumped the turnstile.
It's so fucking stupid, though.
You need to beat the $3.50 out of them.
Yeah, it should just be free. Like the it's just so unclear. If you live in New York, I moved through 10 years ago. The cost of like a monthly metro subway pass has gone up and up and up and up and up. It's not clear. No one knows where the money's going. The service definitely isn't better, and it's not even controlled by the city. It's sort of a quasi-public institution run by the state of New York, which has been under the yoke of Andrew Cuomo for a very long time. And now
public-private partnership.
Yeah.
Is what's happening.
But anyway, after Adams says this, one of his spokespeople gets on Twitter and says, of course, there's not going to be a literal metal detector. right? That's not what he meant. You're misinterpreting him and taking him out of context. And then Adams, the article says, walked back, saying he was in fact serious about exploring the idea. So
yeah, these weren't metaphorical metal detectors. It wasn't like, how Stalin wrote great poems and had like extreme liturgical license to just, take things in your day-to-day life and turn them into metaphors. He's like, no, metal detectors means metal detectors. No joking around about it.
One of my favorite quotes comes right after this. Somebody who works in the Adams administration says, sometimes working here can feel like Jurassic Park, and he is the T-Rex and is going to keep on testing the fences until he breaks through. He needs somebody who can whisper in his ear, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, but you are out of your fucking mind right now.
He has too much swag. He's the swag mayor.
His arms are really small, but his legs are huge.
His legs are so big.
City.
And they step over the red tape.
Yeah. His tail's just crashing through the skyscrapers downtown.
And I know this is a very old talking point, and we talked about this 2 years ago on the show, I think, maybe, but where does he live? Because there's a part in this article that's like the apartment in New Jersey, he said was for his, like, a relative or something during the race, his partner, so that he could live here. He's recently walked back and been like, I actually do live there.
Well, now he has
legal repercussion for anything anymore. I think
it's clear. He lives in a punk house. He's like so many of us that moved to New York and moved into C Squat, with the choking victim guys, or McKibben lofts. He lives in sort of a walled off section of a loft. They're charging rent for 2 people, but there's like 7 that live there.
He's been playing Wonderwall outside of Jake's house every day.
Yeah. He's the wagon wheel guy. Yeah. And this should be an inspiring story to you. If you're ever thinking about moving to the greatest city in the world, you can, if you really put your nose to the grindstone, you might not have the greatest apartment, but you can rise to the top of the city and basically become, you can live your dreams here. You can become, that's what Eric Adams is doing. I think he listens to like techno and like happy hardcore. He's a weirdo who just happens to be mayor. I think I
would not be surprised if he has beats.
I think this is just one of many jobs he'll have in the course of his career.
We're all very excited about this young man's career, Eric Adams.
So New York is a sort of rarity in this sense that we actually do provide some of the only free housing in the city is for the mayor, Gracie Mansion, which I can't think of any other city that gives the mayor a house to live in. But it is funny how like you basically have to become the mayor to get that. Like, so we have a housing lottery here that every now and again you hear somebody getting hooked up with like an affordable quality apartment with. But I have a sense that the housing lottery, most of it is just like a very long process. Like you sign something and then like in 10 years, they'll ask you to run for mayor so you can have a shot at living in Gracie Mansion, because that's really the only way to get a good deal on real estate in the city. But speaking of housing though, this is a move I kind of liked. I doubt it was intentional, but we all remember the video of him and Cara Delevingne. Is that her name?
That is her name, Anders.
They were hopping and bopping. He was kind of doing his own thing, but she was like, having a stroke next to him. And that was at a party.
Very delicately put.
This was at a party for Wells Fargo, which had released a credit card to make it that you could pay rent with. That was like the theme of the party, which sounds like, something that would be right up Eric Adams' alley. And then just like...
He has a lot of apartments.
I think he lives in my building.
Then just like 2 weeks later, he says, oh, actually, the city of New York will no longer do business with Wells Fargo because they discriminated against black homeowners, which is true. And, a reason to not go to their parties in the first place. But it seems like he's just finding out all this stuff as he goes and reacting to it. And sometimes he'll hit a good thing, right? He'll do this. He'll like hear in a meeting, oh, they did this. Okay, well, fuck them. and then go on to do business with some other shady bank.
And then he'll also walk back, stop and frisk, which has been out of public policy for the last 10 years or whatever.
Right. It's a strange sort of thing because
it's not really like an ideological through line, right? It's just this guy, it in a very reminiscent feeling to the Donald Trump presidency. It's whoever he's hung out with recently is now the new law of America's largest city.
Right.
And so it's really just like a hang fest, like who can chill with the mayor the most.
Yeah. And he has a lot of events where these policies will be unrolled, and they're always very half-baked. There was a June event out of Rooftop in Brooklyn. We're famous for those Brooklyn rooftop parties. And it was for housing, and he unveiled a comprehensive blueprint for solving the affordable housing crisis. But he was very vague on how this would be solved, what the plan was. And he refused to say, probably because he does not know how many actual units would be added. And this blueprint that he's proposing would push back the timeline to revise the city's housing code till 2024. So there's a chance that no new housing will even be built in the time that he's in office, let alone dealing with, vacant units and all that stuff, making sure it's affordable housing. If we don't even know if he's going to build any housing at all. So,
not to mention that, like, for someone who would like dare to hold up his democratic bona fides and say, affordable housing is important to me, then make his other main priority homeless encampment sweeps.
Yes.
To the extent that he has a public Google Doc of every homeless encampment in this giant city that he is actually checking 20 times a day to make sure they get cleared by thugs,
Well, I mean, as we have discussed, he is homeless, so he's probably doing that. He's looking for a place to move into. Under the BQE is what he's scoping out.
But he'd feel more comfortable if there were police there, and that's where that comes in.
Yeah, he's gonna put in like a really nice tent somewhere and be like, no one could bug me in here or whatever. But
I'm in here with Chloe Sevigny. Everybody let me chill.
Well, yeah, he was asked about a reporter. They were like, well, how are you keeping track of these homeless encampments? And he's like, oh, we have a system. We devised a system. And they keep pressing, well, what's the system of the system? And it turns out, it's a Google Doc where they just list them. But God,
Google Doc's very helpful.
Oh, we put them in alphabetical order. So don't worry. Everything's fine.
Right.
No big deal that we're making homeless people double homeless.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it is pretty disgusting. Like, there was a similar thing that happened, somewhat similar, in Boston a few months ago, where they busted up an encampment and, was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but they at least sent social workers the week leading up to it to talk to everybody and make sure they had a place to stay and arrange housing for everybody. They didn't do any of that in New York.
Right.
They have not.
The kindest version of the nightmare arrangement we have with human life and property.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no ameliorated situation in New York. It's just people with a bulldozer knocking your house down.
Yeah. It's completely despicable. So confusingly, the Speaker of the City Council is now named Adams, Adrian Adams. They call them Adams Squared.
It is a common name.
Fair
it's
enough.
Not the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Okay, yeah, it's not like two Anders is running New York City, which would be...
And it's a woman, right?
Yes, Adrienne.
So you're not going to be like a Mr. Adams and then get confused.
No.
The Adams family.
The Adams family.
Right.
Call them.
That's what that's what their budget has been called, the Adams family budget. Because
who is putting this thing into the computer? A severed hand?
Well, Adams family surplus value. It's a goth socialist podcast.
It's a goth socialist podcast. And that's why we're talking about Shark Week.
But basically he got overruled. He couldn't make up his mind on who he wanted the speaker to be, and he was threatening people and trying to throw his weight around, and they just didn't listen to him and put this woman in charge. But it does seem like he has kind of got his way more or less on the budget. He did start with $2 billion in cuts, which it seems like that he was influenced by Bloomberg and Bloomberg's sort of inner circle, because
he is very close friends with Michael Bloomberg,
right?
To a point where he is quoted in the article as saying, "I love you, Mike," which is just weird to think of a mayor saying, I guess.
Yeah.
I love you, the mayor.
Also weird to call him Mike. He's such a little fancy.
He's such a Michael.
Yeah.
He's such a Michael.
He wants to be referred to as Michael, I think. Yeah. Mike is like a working class guy name.
Right.
Mike installs your air conditioner.
Mike will let you drink a soda. Mike doesn't care.
But can I drink a Slurp juice, Mike? It's Eric Adams talking to him.
Yeah, but
how big of a Slurp juice am I allowed to drink?
He's gonna outlaw Slurp juice, and that's the thing. Crypto is allowed. Slurp juice is not available in New York restaurants.
Well, big ones are not available.
Yeah, you can get a small to medium-sized Slurp juice, and we haven't seen how big the Slurp juices the apes have available.
Right.
What the fuck were we talking about? Anders, go on.
So this, they eventually the city council slurped down his budget. They did talk him down to just $1 billion in cuts, mostly to education.
Finally.
Yeah.
Somewhere that bloated education budget has hung this city down for too long.
Right. I mean,
we need that money to make more cops.
De Blasio, I hated him, right? I was not a fan of De Blasio when he was mayor, didn't vote for him. But I miss him now, with this fucking guy. He was ineffectual too, but at least he wasn't doing this.
Of the Addams family, he was Lurch, who is the most likable undead member of the family.
Yeah, he's just big. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
he makes pre-kindergarten care available from the city. That's what Lurch does.
Slightly available, yes. I mean, so he rammed through this $1 billion budget. Or $1 billion smaller budget. And it was pretty depressing to see, the two DSA members, along with a few other progressive to socialist council members, voted no. And then everybody else voted yes, including a ton of people who said, we don't like this, but we got to do it. We just got to do it, And hate to say I told you so, but I really don't in this case. One of those people is Crystal Hudson, who a year ago was running against a DSA candidate for city council. And not everybody, but a lot of very left-leaning people I know were like, well, yeah, but they're the same on the issues. They're going to do the same stuff. The only difference is she's a woman, basically. Even though this had been somebody who had worked in Lori Cumbo's office, was working for her as she was pushing through this huge gentrification boondoggle at the Bedford Union Armory. And her designee basically gets in and votes for an austerity pro-cop budget. And I guess she was the progressive choice. I'm sure those people who said she was worth supporting over Michael Hollingsworth will apologize with their tails between their legs. But it's just sad that, in many ways, he is a weak mayor. He's floundering. He has connections to unions and the NYPD, but he has no focus. He's no direction, and he could be vulnerable to a challenge if there was enough of a left in the city council. and in city government. It doesn't look like that's the case now. I mean, you have so far, this article seems to indicate that Brad Lander, who's a comptroller, and Jumaane Williams haven't really stepped up to the plate to call him out and challenge him on stuff. So he's just kind of like coasting by. It's very strange. But
well, the thing too to remember is that although it does not feel this way psychically, we are in, relatively speaking, stable times as a city compared to 2 years ago. And, you know, imagine if July 2020 was happening with Eric Adams as mayor and the kind of discretion the police would get to crack heads.
Yeah.
You know, he can still be a nightmare figure in his own way, but he is a beautiful representation of the times, which is like a guy who doesn't really stand for anything, but has a really good attitude about it.
Yeah.
Very swag.
Which, as we're seeing with the Supreme Court stuff, is not just a domestic thing. It's nationally where how we're feeling as a country is just, we need vibes more than we've ever needed them. We're low on vibes and we could use some more vibes.
Now more than ever, for sure. We need to vibe.
The time for just $15, you can vibe.
Some Rudy sandals.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. I saw that weird thing.
Rudy Giuliani is selling sandals.
I had to see it like a roundabout because he blocked me for, who knows.
What?
Point. Yeah, Rudy Giuliani has to be blocked.
How often is Rudy Giuliani seeing your tweets?
I think he's a Legion of Skanks fan or a Come Town fan or something. I don't know. He's been on a couple times, I don't
Jake
know.
is gay. I'm America's mayor. He fucked that girl in the parking lot. The disabled girl. He's bad.
Did he post anything? Did he post anything pro ferret?
Maybe. I know he hates ferrets. I think I've talked about that on the show before.
That is one serious reversal I could see Mayor Adams having.
Yeah, bringing back ferrets.
I think a ferret is a furry friend. We should be allowed.
We successfully went around 20 minutes without the impression, and it was the hardest 20 minutes of my life.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense that you bring up vibes with the Supreme Court. I don't know. I was just like, I don't even want to ape another podcast here, but I was listening to Citations Needed, and they had a really interesting episode about like how this never occurred to me, but this is exactly how it's framed now that I think about it. Like the Supreme Court in American society and culture is framed as apolitical, which is like insane, but that's kind of the defense of it at all times. And like, if you read like all these fucking people that liberals like deify, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Sotomayor and all these people, their defense of these psychos that are like the 6 people that are just like overturning all of human civil rights and shit right now, the ones that people say are good will always say like, Clarence Thomas is such a good man. He has such good vibes. It's a vibe-based argument, the defense of it. Like, he's so nice. He asked me about my kids and stuff like that. And like, it's absurd that is the defense coming from supposedly the good people on the Supreme Court of the ones that are fucking everything up.
Well, I mean, it's the branch of government that more than the other ones, which also transparently have this as their main affectation, is the class-based bellwether for keeping, an elite status quo on top of the government. Because in order to think of who is in charge of the Supreme Court of the United States, it's just meritocracy of Yale and Harvard graduates. And it's like, surely they're not affected by, I don't know, the laws that govern the nation and the rest of us. They're operating through pure logic outside of that. But nothing is outside of that. If you take a step back and consider like what politics is, why would that ever happen?
Well, you always know, like with the entire government and the ruling class, essentially, like, you always kind of know there's this true thing about what liberals aren't seeing, which is like, yeah, there's people from different backgrounds and stuff that are in government or in the ruling class, and they might pretend like some of them have our interest in mind, but class trumps race and gender and everything all the time. Like the people that are in the ruling class are always going to have each other's backs before they have ours, which is true. But I guess I haven't thought about the Supreme Court as much as I have this week because this hasn't been happening recently.
Because folks, they're on one. I don't know if you've been looking at the news.
to really look at them and see it distilled down into 9 people, like it's so fucking like gross. I mean,
our country's only been around for like 200 years, but how many times has the Supreme Court been accurately described as on one?
They're the most on one they've ever been. Usually it's weird. Like they've done a lot of terrible stuff, but like, yeah, I don't know, you just don't think about them that much. It's like
if you were playing beer pong with the Supreme Court right now, they'd be doing bounce shots on you over and over again. And you'd be like, what is this about?
About to cut their own bangs and like shave the side of their head, like on one. They're having like a BPD episode or something. Fuck, what do they want? How do we stop them?
What do they want? Don't answer that with the things that they want. I thought this might be an interesting way to end the show, and it is on somewhat of a sad note, but there's a stipulation in the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, because I feel like Florida has kind of the national attention right now in some aspects, as they are the cutting edge of the conservative Sauron eye that has seized control of the national politics through the Supreme Court. Through the Don't Say Gay bill, there's apparently a protocol where if somebody is in your class, specifically gym class with you, and they are openly gay, there's a notice that has to go out to all of the teachers.
This is like elementary school, right?
I think it's for all levels, but it does go down as young as elementary school. And that does mean that like anyone who creates a mean rumor sends out a chain email to the entire student body family of everyone at the school. So like if Anders was in your gym class, you would be getting an email from the mean Russian kid he's friends with that he's like a health risk to everyone involved.
I read about this and like it's obviously like this is fucked up.
It's the most upsetting thing possible, but it is also like the most vulnerable to tricksterism like, that the American government has ever been.
What like is this fucking total fascist Nazi shit? But for like, did you not think for a second what would it have been like when you were in middle school if this was a thing? You could just constantly any one of your friends press a button that sends an email to everyone in the community that they're gay.
Like, you gotta talk to like your parents the next day and be like, yeah, he's gay. I saw his shoes.
Maybe that's the saving grace that keeps it from being a fucking evil eugenicist witch hunt or whatever, is that everyone is just constantly doing it to each other because it's really funny to call Crime Stoppers and be like, by the way, can you email my dad and tell him that Anders is gay?
I mean, how many times has this happened before you're like, okay, no more emails about this, actually? And I'm a bigoted person, but this is spam.
Yeah, there's no way the system could possibly work because everyone would just be doing it all the time. Maybe that's fucking cool. Maybe that's anti-fascist action there, is just to flood the system, you know, the way you
flood the system.
Whenever they create these narc systems, like one thing you can't do is just flood the hotline or whatever. This is a really fun way to do that.
It's almost like a really special coming out ceremony of like Orange County Parent Teacher Association is proud to present Stuart is gay.
Yeah, what if you do it on yourself? You're like, this is how I'm telling everyone.
Yeah, like that. Think of how few public machinery you have at hand to like make an announcement in your life. to just let everyone know something you'd like to tell them all at once. Which again, is a very is literally a nightmare situation come to life. But thought it'd be worth bringing up.
No. The intended use of this is obviously like horrific and the worst thing ever. But like, I don't know. I'm kind of an optimist about this. Like, misuse would be really funny. Like, you would take the teeth off the fucking thing. Every student should just do it to every other student, and then just flood the system with warning emails that there's a.
This is a reality that isn't discussed enough, which is that although the forces of reaction at this moment are winning, and we are in this insidious kind of like eclipse formation of the dark side of man showing its teeth, all of the people who hold these reactionary views are also stuck in the dumbass world we live in, where nothing works and everything backfires all the time. And it's got to be a real, I don't know, mixed blessing for them too.
Yeah. Listen, if you know another Patreon subscriber to our podcast that you suspect of being gay, lesbian, trans, queer, asexual, intersex, and so on and so forth, we've set up a button that you can press that informs us so that we know someone's listening.
That button will send a pre-arranged email to Anders Lee.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
I do a bad gaydar, so
he is general secretary of the podcast, and he will analyze each of these and interpret them as they come.
Yeah, whether you're a threat.
It's gonna be all of them. It's gonna be all of the patrons. And Anders needs to know. So go ahead and smash that button, ring that bell, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Please sign up so you can join the bounty roundup of
who's gay.
Which is, and you can do it, I guess.
There's a new Patreon tier just called Who's Gay, where we also send you the email. It's like $15 or something.
Pay an extra $20 if you want to narc on us for being gay, but you can do that.
Right. For $20, Jake is gay. Also, he molested that girl.
Yeah.
And he's going to jail.
$50 if you want to send Anders that email, which is
it still goes to Anders. Like, it doesn't go anywhere, but it's an important step. You could take it home. That's what communism is.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. I don't mean to make too much light of this, but I think making light of it is the only way around it because it's like so fucking evil.
I don't know what else to do.
I don't know. We're cool, man.
Can I actually end on a light news tidbit?
Yeah, sure.
This just in. So in Minnesota, there's like this, I don't know, some basic like spending law or basic like bipartisan law that was passed, and somebody snuck in a rider legalizing edibles in Minnesota, and the state senate there is controlled by Republicans, and they didn't read it and just passed it. So now edibles are legal.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Despite the
but drugs are like marijuana is illegal, but edibles are legal.
I don't know. I just know edibles are legal. I think.
Is this like a situation where the robot kills itself, kind of thing?
I don't know what that means. I'm sure.
Like a contradiction. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe you can get just the edibles and not the smokables, but I don't know. The point is, Republicans didn't read the bill, and that's a way to trick them. That's a way to get around these things, possibly. They might be wise to it now, but I kind of doubt they're going to start reading these things.
That's pretty cool.
Not reading is going to become a big part of politics at this point in history moving forward.
It's like laws are basically the same thing as when you buy a computer program and you scroll past all the
right, except scroll to the bottom and hit accept all.
That's cool that those people are doing their jobs the same way that we are when we buy bullshit.
Yeah, just drunk on Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm going to play Fall Guys tonight. All right.
No, I legalized edibles.
Oh,
God
shit.
damn it.
I was trying to buy the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which, by the way, is very good.
Oh, yeah?
I hear the new Diablo is pay to win. That's not what this game is about.
Oh. All right,
All
boys.
right.
Did we do it? Did we do a podcast on a Saturday night? I think we did. It's fun.
I'm clapping my hands to dust them off.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hear it, but it's happening.
Folks, please continue to support our show and subscribe to our Patreon if you would like to use the application to email Anders that I am gay.
God.
It costs a lot of money, but I assure you it's worth it.
It's worth it.
it.
A time when people have had more money than ever right now. I've been looking at those exit surveys. Everyone has a lot of money.
Yeah. No, it's all just there's no money left. Why do you go back to bartending? There's just no money left.
There's just no money left.
All right. Well, I don't know if I have any plugs. I think I'm just chilling. Does anyone have anything to promote before we get out of here?
We should say our Patreon, patreon.com/PodDamnAmerica, is also, the link is in your notes for this episode you're listening to right now. And
consider subscribing to it.
you wouldn't think you have to say these
about
things, but sometimes we get feedback that's like, where is your podcast? And it's like, how did you get here?
It's
How did you
literally
get to this part?
it's how we make money. We should be like pitching it all the time, but we are not filthy capitalists. So
No.
we don't have that. We're not yelling at you about Casper mattresses and boner pills and shit. You know, that's
We're barely keeping our heads above water over here. We need your help.
you should subscribe to it though. If you want to throw us money so that we don't have to read ads about goddamn motherfucking MailChimp or whatever.
None of you can buy a car. Just go ahead and admit that right now, and it will be useless if we start reading you Toyota ads.
Give up. Subscribe to the Patreon. All right.
At
This is
Anders Lee
fun.
here on Twitter, and check out me on Substack. AndersLee.substack.com. Got some essays up there. Going to have one soon about sort of reflections on low turnout and this latest round of New York primary races, which I had a little involvement. So you find that on my Substack. Anders Lee here is the name of it. I was thinking of doing Here with Anders Lee. Still might change it to that, but you can, the same website name, or the same website. It's anderslee.substack.com.
Love
Sign
it.
up now. I have stand-up shows coming up in the middle of July. My producing machine has come to life, and Anders and I are both making Paid Protest on July 16th at the Secret Loft in Manhattan. This is our last show at the Secret Loft. I know I said that before, but they lied to me and I was deceived. So come to this one to support the YDSA. If you would like young socialists to save you from the Gestapo of the future, please show up and fundraise for them. It will also be a fun stand-up time. I am also the day before that at Caveat in the Lower East Side, producing the Hard Drive stand-up show with Jeremy Kaplowitz. That will be a fun time for gamers and safe for gamers to show up there and admit you are a gamer and come to that one too. I'll also put the link up for that. Why not? And follow me on Twitter at Patak Test Kitchen. That's PTAK Test Kitchen.
That's a safe space for gamers, everyone. Look at my calendar. July 20th, the only show I have booked for the whole month so far is I'll be on my friend Gabe Pacheco's show. You might have heard on this show before. It's called Funhouse. It's at Pete's Candy Store in Williamsburg. I think it's like 10. It's like a late show.
Take a
What
bite.
about July 13th, too, if you want to come by then?
Huh?
Are you there the week before? So we're
Yeah.
we have like a residency at
Right.
Pete's Candy Store.
Just go to Pete's Candy Store. We're there all the time.
Just start hanging out.
Okay.
All right, everybody.
At Feral Jokes. I never plug my Twitter. You know who I am, right?
How else did you get here?
Yeah. All right. It's finished.
See you, Crest out.